Did you get my pictures and put them up? The breaking news? Well, I just came up on this.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. How we sounding, everybody? Going live in 2 minutes. Going live in 2 minutes. Morning. Thank you, Christy. Thank you. Solves one problem. Got a great show lined up, everybody. 3 great guests. And we are going live. Hello, Brenda and Carrie. I'm not going to put the 2-minute thing on there. You guys know the drill. We start right on time. Good morning, Daddy-O from Central Florida. Nice of you to join us on time today. Your dad's here nice and early today. Thank you. Off the cloud, stayed like that, you'd be perfect. Yes, we are on the square again, and we're expecting our official violation today. Less than 1 minute. But we won't worry our guests with our issues. Stand by for the start of the show.
This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to Beach Talk Radio. This is episode number 168, coming to you live from the public square on Fort Myers Beach, right in front of Beach Timeout. We're starting the show early today because we have 3 great guests. Later in the show, we'll have an important update on our fight to bring you our show in the public square, and we want you to stay tuned to that. So that's coming up later on at the end of the program at 9 o'clock this morning. We'll be joined here in the square by local author Steve McGuire, whose political thriller Prior Restraint is about members of the media who are killed by the government in an attempt to stifle free speech in America. I kid you not. That's coming up at 9 o'clock. And at 9:30, the new owners of Hammerhead Gym, Bob Closson and Sarah McCormick. But first, joining us live from Jacksonville remotely is John Campbell. And John is the Chief Corporate Communications Officer for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, as we keep the topic of water quality in the forefront here in Fort Myers Beach. John, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Ed. Good to be here.
So, John, first off, tell us a little bit about your position, what you do with the Army Corps of Engineers, and how long you've been there.
Sure. So essentially, I'm a public affairs officer for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Jacksonville District, and I have been in this position since 2011, almost a full decade here. Before that, I worked up in the state of Missouri with the Emergency Management Agency, and actually on the operations side of things, where I coordinated the state's response to several disasters, floods, tornadoes, ice storms, all sorts of fun things that we got to deal with in Missouri. I will say winter is much better down here in Florida, but as soon as I got here, Lake Okeechobee landed on my lap, and it's been a wonderful learning experience. So many interesting angles and nuances and stakeholders that have a lot of good ideas and points of view on how water should be managed in the lake. And so I've been doing my best to educate on the Corps of Engineers water management activities for most of the past decade.
So, John, before we get into the water quality stuff, we have kind of a similar background in that you worked in radio and I worked in radio for a while. So, where did you work and how long were you there?
Yeah, so way back. This goes back to the 90s. I started off in Springfield, Missouri. Worked at KTTS AM and FM in their news department, their radio news department. That was back in the days when radio stations really made a strong commitment to local news. This was a news department that had 7 people in it, running a 24-hour, and it was largely a country music station. I mean, it was news and top and bottom of the every hour, and we prided ourselves on our coverage of storms and weather. And then a couple of years with KWOS in Jefferson City, Missouri, and also KWTO back in Springfield. Great time.
Radio has changed so much in that you're never going to hear local news especially a music station. There are a lot of great news stations out there like WTOP in Washington and a lot in New York City. But the small markets like Fort Myers and things like that, you're not going to find a really local news station, which is good for us. We get to do things like this and talk to all the folks on the beach and in small communities. And it means a lot to the people that are in those communities to have their local news brought to them. But I wouldn't want to be in the radio industry right now, going through what they're going through, like a lot of industries were the last year.
Right. Nope. It's certainly changed, and it's just not what it was back when we had lots of fun. I'm sure you had lots of fun in your days in New York as well.
So, John, tell us a little bit about the Army Corps of Engineers. I think a lot of the people locally have probably heard more about the Army Corps of Engineers in the past 6 months than they have in a long time. Can you kind of explain what the role of the Army Corps is in Jacksonville and in Florida?
Yeah, sure. So that's almost an hour-long show in and of itself. So the Corps of Engineers across the nation, 35,000 employees in the Corps of Engineers. It is part of the U.S. Army. We are commanded by a 3-star general that has served in wars, Lieutenant General Scott Spellman. The Corps is divided up across the nation to 43 districts. I work for the Jacksonville district, which has responsibility for Florida, the Florida Peninsula, and also Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So we've got a lot of work going on down in Puerto Rico post Hurricane Maria. Probably for the folks that are listening and viewing your show, our biggest touch point is our management of water in Lake Okeechobee. Some folks may have experience with our regulatory program. We issue permits if people want to build docks that might encroach into navigable waterways. We just want to make sure that that's not going to impede the navigation of boats and things of that nature. And we have a coastal storm risk management project in Lee County, where we help protect against coastal storms, build resiliency along the beaches.
Now, you mentioned Lake Okeechobee and that being a big touch point, certainly down here. Can you give us a little bit of information about where the Corps is on developing the new LOSAM?
Sure. So the Lake Okeechobee System Operating Manual, or the acronym is LOSAM, but Lake Okeechobee System Operating Manual. So let's talk a little bit about why we're doing it. And so for many decades, we've been working on rehabilitation of the dike that surrounds the lake. After Hurricane Katrina, that rehabilitation effort really gained momentum, and Congress appropriated several $1 million. The total tune of it's going to be $1.7 billion when it's all said and done, to install features into the dike that would reduce seepage and make it more resilient for the storms that we see in Florida. With that rehabilitation, that's going to be done in next year, 2022. And with that rehabilitation, we see an opportunity to take another look. We haven't done this in a decade, at how we manage water in the lake. And so we started this effort in late 2018, started having conversations with stakeholders on what they would want to see in a new water management regimen. Those conversations have been ongoing for the past 2 years, and now we're getting to a critical part where we've ran numerous models. We are finally narrowing things down to, we've got 5 arrays that we shared some data on just this week. and people are starting to get a better sense of what the future of water management at Lake Okeechobee might look like. And now the debate is going to begin for the next few weeks on the trade-offs. So if we go with Schedule AA versus BB, what are the trade-offs? Where are the pluses and minuses? At the end of the day, this is all going to be a balancing act. There are multiple congressionally authorized purposes in management of water at Lake Okeechobee, and the Corps is mandated by Congress to find a good balance that meets all of those purposes.
Now, in those, you said there's 5 models. Is there still some room to juggle them and adjust them? Because I know there's been, at least down here, there's been talk of that the feeling is that CC, I think, with some adjustments, would be one of the top runners that people feel is pretty well balanced and sends as much water south as possible. So is that true? There's still some adjusting. There's still some that will go on.
So these that are coming out are, again, another opportunity to have another conversation. So I'm trying to remember the time frame. It was a few months ago that we shared some initial modeling where the focus was on how do we get the best schedule if we were just concerned about one particular project purpose. If we were just concerned about water supply, what would that schedule look like? If we were just concerned about the estuary communities, Fort Myers and Stewart, what would that look like? And so we did that. Now this is iteration 2, and so we told the team to go back and look at, okay, we found the best, if nothing else was a concern, of those single objectives. Now let's see what we get when we put multiple objectives in there and what that array looks like. But this I think drives a conversation on philosophy. So what weight do we want to give to the coastal communities versus the weight we give to water supply versus the weight on lake ecology and a number of other factors?
You talked about the team going back. Who makes up the team that's kind of looking at this?
So the team, there is a 200-member project delivery team. If you ever hear the acronym PDT, that stands for Project Delivery Team. And so that makes and that's an interagency and intergovernmental team. So that is made up of representatives, obviously from the Corps of Engineers, but also state agencies and local government as well. And these are folks, a lot of them that are on this team have devoted decades to studying water issues in Florida. And they come from all over the South Florida region. Certainly Lee County is well represented, as is Martin County on the East Coast, and the lakeside communities are represented as well. So there's a very good representation. And there's a lot of expertise in terms of folks that have studied this for years, have held various positions with state and federal agencies that have really delved deeply. We were here Thursday night geeking out on some of the model data that was released. And it was just, and I thought about that, and I knew I was coming on your show today. And it's like, wow, I don't know that people really realize just the amount of effort that's going into this behind the scenes. It's not glamorous work, but it's certainly important work.
Yeah, I am unable to geek out. I tried to listen to a couple of meetings with the scientists and with the Army Corps of Engineer representatives, and you got to listen at least a couple of times so to even get a little bit of knowledge. One of the meetings that I listened to was the Blue-Green Algae Task Force and the Army Corps of Engineers meeting. And I noticed that the last one, it's been a while since they got together. Is there a plan? Because that was a robust meeting. There was a lot of feedback that was given. And it seemed to me, and again, I'm, a lay person, that there was some good feedback given and that some suggestions and that there was going to be more discussion forthcoming. And I haven't seen anything. I didn't know if it had gone on or was planned to go on. So I just was wondering about that.
So the Corps certainly recognizes that algae, the blue-green algae issue is of greater concern now in 2021 than it was the last time we went through the Lake Okeechobee regulation schedule back in 2005, 2007. that process that gave us the 2008 Lake Okeechobee regulation schedule, what's commonly known as 2008 LORS. And so even the Corps of Engineers this year has used tools to try to alleviate, to give us more flexibility in how we manage water when algae is present on the lake. I think the challenge, it's certainly something that's on our minds. The challenge is, what kind of guidance do you write into a document when you have algae that is so ephemeral? It's there one day and gone the next, and even the bacteria that causes it is present, but yet it's when it manifests itself as algae that people have a lot of concerns. And again, I'm certainly no scientist and don't understand completely the production of the toxins and things of that nature. There are people much more smarter than I on that, but we do recognize the concern of algae. I think the challenge is, how do you translate that into something that is actionable from a water management perspective?
So, John, I think you can understand that the folks on this coast are somewhat gun shy after what happened in 2018. Can you tell us what went wrong in 2018, where it seemed like we really got hit hard and the economy really suffered? What went wrong up there?
So I think 2018, the challenge that we had that particular year was we were working with a forecast situation during the winter, during the dry season, that forecast dry conditions throughout, even into the early part of wet season. And so we did not release as much water. Certainly the coastal, the leaders in Fort Myer, Commissioner Ruane, back when he was the mayor of Sanibel, certainly was pleading with us to release more water to help with the freshwater saltwater mix, that salinity balance in the estuary. And we didn't. And part of that was driven because we thought we were looking at a dry forecast and we would be in water conservation mode. And that changed right around Mother's Day weekend that year, when not only did we get this deluge of rain, but then all the forecast outlooks changed as well to suddenly it was going to be above average precipitation for wet season. And so it set us on a course that was very challenging. We had to release a lot of water. Of course, we were coming off of Irma just the year before, and we knew we had a lake level of about just over 13.5 pre-Irma, and Irma dumped enough precipitation to take us up to 17. And so in late May and early June, we were back at that 13.5 level, and just one storm away from being up in the 17 range. And so ever since Katrina, we have aggressively managed the water level in the lake, and we just had to let a lot of water go that summer. And of course, we've seen with the algae event in 2018 in your area, the algae event in 2016 in Stewart. So where does algae come from? I mean, that's a conversation we have to have as a society. There's lots of things that go into it. Certainly the human activity associated with fertilizers, not just of farm fields, but of golf courses and of yards. And it's not just in your area, it's all up and down that watershed that drains into Lake Okeechobee. And until we have a good societal discussion on how we want to address that, I think we're going to continue to see problems.
A couple of weeks ago at a county board meeting, Kevin Ruane, the chairperson, who really was a champion of clean water when he was mayor of Sanibel for so many years, looked like I thought his head was going to explode, because he just felt like none of the plans were anything that our side of the state could accept, at least the county. And then this week, the colonel was in town and he met with local officials for 2 days. And it seemed like it was a complete 180, that there's at least one, maybe more than one plan that Lee County can work with. What happened this week to make the local officials feel more comfortable with the plan that might finally be adopted?
Well, I will say this on behalf of Colonel Kelly. And Colonel Kelly, for those that don't know, Colonel Andrew Kelly, Drew Kelly, as he goes by, he's the commander of the Jacksonville district, and he's been here since late. He got in here right at the tail end of the fun that we were having in 2018, he's actually scheduled to rotate out in September, and we'll get a new commander at that time. But he has invested himself with this Lake Okeechobee and with communication on Lake Okeechobee like no other colonel that I've seen in my decade here with the Corps. So he has driven me to ensure that we have weekly media engagements. You may have heard about them, but we try to talk with reporters every week now, typically on Fridays, just about what's going on with regards to water management, what we're thinking. And he, unlike a lot of others, will telegraph what he is thinking. And of course, caveat it that it's all dependent on the weather at the end of the day. But he has made an effort to really try to communicate and be as transparent as possible. And certainly that follow-up, I know he was talking, we had an employee town hall this week here in Jacksonville, Thursday, just as soon as he got back from Florida. We had a virtual town hall, and he was just talking about one of the things that's driving the return to in-person engagements and in-person, coming back to the office is part of what was experienced down there. It's like, we've been so separated for so long that I think a lot of people started feeling better when he was able to get in the same room with them, break bread with them, or have refreshments with them, and just talk candidly about what we're looking at and the challenges that we face. And I think you get better vibes when you have these types of in-person engagements. So I think it's just the fact that we came down there in person, listened certainly to Commissioner Ruane's concerns and all the other county commissioners' concerns, and the colonel does that routinely. He's planning more of this as we shape the final, what the final, at least the selected plan of LOSAM will look like. And as Karen mentioned earlier, once we choose that plan this summer, once we announce that, we're thinking late July or August, there's still going to be optimization, what we call optimization. So a lot of tweaking going on. But once we choose a philosophy, and that's what these 5 plans are right now in the debate that we're having, what's the philosophy that we want to embrace? And once we choose that, then we start tweaking with it. We can really get down under the hood of it, so to speak, and do our best to make it the best plan possible.
So, John, how political does this get for you guys up there? You have everybody likes to blame Big Sugar. It's almost like Big Sugar is just some kind of big rock or something. You don't even know that there's any people there. Everybody just says Big Sugar, it's Big Sugar. And then, you have Brian Mast on one side saying no water's coming this way at all. And then Byron on this side trying to do the best that he can. And then you guys are up there trying to make it all work together. And coming from the military, where you don't have to deal with as much of the politics as you have to here. How do you guys weave through that so you can try and figure out, not everybody's going to be happy. Not everybody's going to, agree with the final plan. So how do you work through that so at least we don't get poisoned?
Sure. So at the end of the day, I think it's about remaining largely apolitical. And the military has done that for decades, trying to steer clear of political influences and trying to be above the fray of politics as best as we can. Certainly, this is an issue that generates a lot of interest, and it's not unlike, Corps of Engineers projects across the nation generate interest from communities. Even when I was back in Missouri, there were Corps of Engineer projects there, man-made reservoirs that when water was being held in those reservoirs to reduce downstream flooding, then you've got the people upstream complaining that the Corps is holding too much water. And then when you let some of that water go, of course, the downstream folks are complaining the Corps is letting it go and causing flooding. So there's kind of an interesting relationship with these projects. They're so massive. They impact so many people. And now, they've been around for decades. So people have built businesses around them and economies around them. And so obviously when your ability to earn money is under threat for whatever reason, that causes people to get very passionate about things. And certainly they reach out to their local elected officials to share those concerns with them. And the elected officials that we hear from, Congressman Mast, the congressman down there in Fort Myers, they're representing their constituents. They're sharing that feedback that they're getting with us, and in many instances asking us seeking clarification on what we're doing so that they can help educate their constituents on our activities as well. It becomes political, but I think that's it's just the nature of the Corps of Engineers and the work that we do.
Well, you mentioned the reservoirs, and we actually have a question regarding that from Fort Myers Beach Councilman Jim Adderholt. He wanted to ask how the new reservoirs that are being built will help the situation.
And that's great, and I'm glad that questions come up. So a lot of people ask routinely, what is the long-term solution from this? So even with the new Lake Okeechobee System Operating Manual in place, there will likely still be water releases to the coastal communities that will not be popular, and understandably so. And again, this is done to reduce flood risk for those people that live and work around the lake itself. Many people are familiar with Everglades Restoration, the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan, what's commonly known as SERP, that was passed in the year 2000, and the reservoirs that you just mentioned are part of those components. SERP seeks to restore some of the historic flow of water to the Everglades. So one of the common mantras that we hear, send more water south, and SERP aims to send more water south. But to send more water south, we've got to have the infrastructure in place. One of the limiting factors in sending water south right now is just that there's not the conveyance capacity. The canals that go south aren't as big as the canals east and west. And when this system was designed, the primary outlets were seen as east and west. And that was, this goes back, almost a full century of management of water in South Florida. But those reservoirs that you asked about, at the end of the day, they will give us more flexibility. They will give us options on where we can divert water. There's one being constructed right now by the Water Management District in Hendry County. That will be a place where water that might otherwise go to the Caloosahatchee during wet season can be diverted. And then it provides a source of water during dry season when the Caloosahatchee needs it to maintain that freshwater saltwater mix that I talked about earlier.
So, John, you mentioned earlier that the colonel is retiring in September. Do we know who's taking over?
A replacement has been named. The last name is Booth. I apologize. I can't remember his first name.
Okay.
It's Colonel Booth. And I've not met him yet. And so
okay.
I can't give you any insight onto what he's like or what he has done or any real background on him.
And hopefully we can have Colonel Kelly on before he leaves. One last question, and we appreciate all your time. I can't believe it's been 30 minutes already, but what is your prediction on CC going through?
Yeah, so we're not going to make any predictions. So at this point, I mean,
how dare you, John?
We're going to present those plans, and we want to hear from people. We want to hear from the project development team. We want to hear from people that are interested. Certainly, I can't imagine that our local, state, and federal elected folks won't have opinions on it, but those opinions will largely reflect their constituencies. But these plans are being presented right now so we can get feedback on them, and that feedback kind of guides where we go from here.
Yeah, I also want to thank you for coming on, and I wanted you to give out the website where people could get more information about the Army Corps of Engineers, the long history, places where they might be able to, if they would like to indulge in reviewing those meetings and getting up to speed on all the minutia and the important stuff that's going on there. So if you could give out any information, that'd be appreciated.
You betcha. So our the website for the Jacksonville District is www.S as in Sam, A as in Adam, J as in Jacksonville. So that's South Atlantic Jacksonville is the code there. So www.saj.usace, that's the acronym for U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, usace.army.mil. Probably, I don't know, at some point.
Government never makes it easy, John.
I'm sorry.
The government never makes it easy.
We don't. There's probably opportunities for improvement on this, but saj.usace.army.mil, or if you just Google U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Florida, typically Jacksonville District will be at the top of that search.
Great. And I was out at the Franklin Lock, and it was after hours, and there was still a volunteer or an employee, I'm not sure, walking around, more than willing to give information and talk about everything. So that's another place where people can go out and visit the lock, and there's a visitor center out there and get lots of information.
Yep,
So
we didn't
thank you
even
so
talk
much.
about the recreation mission that we have. So lots of things. We'll have to do this again sometime.
For sure, John.
Absolutely.
John, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate your time, and thanks for everything you guys are doing.
Well, and good luck to you guys. This is a nice little forum to have here. I hope it's working out well. I've heard a little bit about, some of the issues with your location, I guess, and I hope that all gets resolved favorably.
We're having some fun with it. You guys have a great day. Have a wonderful weekend. Care. John Campbell, everybody, from the Army Corps of Engineers, and we really appreciate him coming on.
Yeah, that was great.
That was awesome. A nice education on the Army Corps. Super nice guy with a radio background.
And I would say, I know there were some people that were hoping to delve into some more specifics, but it is, it's a lengthy discussion. So like he said, you might need more time. And, if people are interested.
Right. They should do their own research too. Well,
they do their own research, bring your questions, and we'd be more than willing to bring him back on or bring somebody else back on and take a deep dive into this.
Right. So. And he was great. And he contacted us this past week because he saw that we were interested in having somebody on. So thanks so much to John for coming on. And we're getting ready for our next guest that you're going to go grab, right? As we make the segue to the live public square here. And I know you folks see me looking over my shoulder here, because we're waiting to see when we're going to get snap photoed here, but it hasn't happened yet. We did want to tell you about Beach Pottery, one of our great sponsors, located on San Carlos Boulevard. And they have the greatest pots in the world. They have pots, and they have pots, and they have more pots. Over 18,000 pots. Alana purchases directly from manufacturers. So the best pricing in town, as well as the best selection, over an acre of pots, furniture and artwork, and a lot more out back with the archivist, or the what's the name of the I'm already forgetting the name of the chainsaw guy. He's out in the back, and he's carving up these nice statues and these what else does he carve out there? You were out back there.
I mean, it's different statues, but that's what he's carving.
Yeah.
It's different animal statues from wood.
Yeah, and you've been out there, so you know exactly
there's a lot.
What else they have out there. So tell everybody what else they have out there.
They have furniture out there. They have that outdoor furniture that lasts longer than some marriages. Comes in a variety of colors, and that's something I would like. They have custom-made pots. You can get a custom-made pot with your last name on it, or
perfect,
whatever you want to get on it.
Nice filler in there, Julie.
I haven't been in the store lately, but I think they have lots of stuff in there, like jewelry now.
And they have, I think, a coffee bar now.
Yeah,
right?
They might
coffee
be.
bar. All right. So thank you again to John from the Army Corps of Engineers. And now our second guest, ladies and gentlemen, is a local author. And the book that the first time I heard about our next guest was when he was at the Fort Myers Beach Public Library, and he was doing a book signing. Steve McGuire is here. And the name of the book was Prior Restraint. And it sounded kind of interesting to me because those are the kinds of books that I read. And I contacted the folks at the library, and in a roundabout way, we have Steve come on, and he's going to talk about his book. And the even more interesting thing about it, Steve, and sometimes she just likes to get up and walk and leave the show, is you're going to get nice and close with the microphone, is that your book is, first of all, your background as you're a federal judge from Washington, D.C., and you are now retired and living in Naples. And the book is about media. I don't want to give away too much. I've never actually did a whole review of a book so I want to be careful not to give away where people don't purchase the book. But it has to do with the local media, the media being killed because of free speech that's trying to be squashed. So the name of the book is Prior Restraint. Before we get into the book, which I read the day before yesterday, it took me 2 days.
And into the early wee morning hours.
I could not sleep at all, so I got to finish it last night, and I certainly won't give away the ending. Let's talk about your life. You are a federal judge.
Right.
So tell us about that.
Well, first of all, let me say thank you for having me on the show. It's always great to be in Fort Myers Beach, and I'm honored to ask to be a part of such an acclaimed program.
Thank you very much. We
So,
are the #1 radio show on Fort Myers Beach.
I know
Just
you
take
are,
that to
and
the bank,
that's why
sir.
I'm so honored to
Yes.
have an opportunity to come speak. But no, I was in Washington for approximately 32 years. I had an legal career. I was an attorney, a government attorney for approximately 15 years, and then I had the great honor of being appointed as a federal judge, and I retired as the chief judge of the federal then trade then commission, where we presided over some really large antitrust cases.
What's the biggest antitrust case you were involved in?
Well, I had the distinct privilege of presiding over the largest case in FTC history in 2003. It was called then Rambus, which was a small company out in California who were in the DRAM manufacturing business, and they created a new technology to break up the bottleneck in DRAM than memory. So a lot of the global manufacturers wanted that technology, but as we came to appreciate during the course of the 5-month hearing, they didn't want to pay for the technology. So the FTC brought a complaint against this company, and I think in hindsight, maybe to somehow acquire their technology for the big corporate interests. I won't say that for a fact, but
Any big media?
Oh yes, during the court, I will say we had 74 attorneys on this case. So talking about herding cats, that was certainly it. But throughout the course of this hearing, we were issuing orders every day, and virtually the next day you would see a squib in the Wall Street Journal, because it was such an important case, and it was a huge case. And then they were talking about it on CNN and all. So I mean, that was a great honor to be able to preside over that.
So, Your Honor, when you have people in front of you in a courtroom, do you ever just...
Is that appropriate still? Or
I don't mind calling him Your Honor.
I know, but I don't
feel like it's a big deal when you have somebody who's Your Honor on the show.
Respectful. So.
Well, it's kind of...
You're never not Your Honor anymore.
It's kind of funny you say that, because
See?
Sometimes when I play golf with my buddies, they'll say, "It's Your Honor, Your Honor."
So, Your Honor, back to my question. Do you ever look across the courtroom at a lawyer who said something completely idiotic, and you just say to yourself, "My gosh, that guy's a dummy"?
Well, keep in mind, in the course of an exceedingly long trial, and attorneys are oftentimes flying by the seat of their pants, depending on the testimony that's being given. So, I'm not sure any of us wouldn't say things that may come across in hindsight as a little, foolish or unsubstantiated. But
that's yes and lawyer speak here.
But
so on to I don't mean to keep interrupting.
Do you ever have to clear the court and admonish people for getting out
Good
of
question,
line?
dear.
Well, I mean, yeah, I've had to do that a few times, but I think what's important as a judge that you set the tone very early, and people realize when they came into my court that we weren't putting up with any theatrics or anything like that. And if they got too far, out of line in terms of their questioning, I would admonish them to let's keep this.
Yeah, you're no Judge Ito.
No, I'm not. That's for sure.
So the now I forgot my question, dear, about the court. Darn it, I'll come back to it. So is Washington a swamp?
It is a swamp, and it's been a long time in the making. This is nothing new. What's happening in D.C., I think, goes back to almost the beginning, and I think our founding fathers were fearful when the citizen legislators came in from their farms throughout the area to work for the summer to pass legislation, and then they would get back to their farms. But I think the founding fathers were concerned that once they were able to have access to the federal treasury, that it would become more problematic. And I think that's where we see it very much today. And people ask me, what is it about politics? And I always say, well, you've heard the expression, the art of politics. And people believe, and the politicians propound the notion that they're working on behalf of their constituents. But in reality, oftentimes, if not most of the time, they're working on behalf of their corporate sponsors. And many times those two interests are not cohesive.
So what is your personal opinion on the Supreme Court and this discussion of stacking the Supreme Court? It seems like recently with these unanimous decisions, the court is trying to send a message to the politicians that, hey, we don't need you getting involved. The number is right. Even though there's Democrats and Republicans, we can still come together and make the right decision. And you guys need to stay out of it. That's why it was developed this way.
That's exactly right. And we've had instances throughout our history where the court has been one-sided either way, but we still managed to function. Once the court system in this country becomes then politicized, we've lost a great deal of our freedoms. So the Supreme Court still is the last the bastion of freedom in this country. And so I think it's important that regardless of who might be on the court at any given time, that we support, again, the founding fathers' vision of how this country should be operating. And that is on the basis that we want to be a country where the individual is acknowledged and not the government.
What is your personal opinion on the media?
Well, I don't know if it's my personal opinion as much as it is just an observation. I think most of us realize, and irrespective of one's political bent, I think the media tends to be very one-sided. Not always, but oftentimes. And I think it's incumbent upon the citizenry to stay informed. And I don't mean just by watching your favorite news show at night. The internet's a great thing. There's a lot of access to alternative ways to acquire information. And the best way to preserve freedom is to stay informed and then stand up for what you believe. And I think part of the problem that we're facing is that people aren't making decisions for themselves anymore. They're just echoing maybe what they hear on TV and radio. So I think, again, we're going back to these freedoms. Freedom of speech is obviously a very important thing, and it's being impinged upon.
I agree.
And I think we need to stand up. I mean, everybody, it doesn't matter what your political perspective is, but in order to have a free society, we need to be able to have access to all points of view.
Your Honor, in your opinion, do you think that it was wise for Alex Jones to be canceled and for Donald Trump to be canceled and for whatever reasons, politics aside, the social media groups got to pick Trump because his term was retiring and they were all done with him. Again, that's just my opinion. And then Alex Jones, certainly a crazy kook, but you think that was the right thing for those folks to do?
Well, of course not. Anytime you suppress thought, regardless of whether it's popular or it's in the minority, you've harmed everyone. I mean, people need to be exposed to a universe of thought and be free to decide for themselves what they believe to be true. And so anytime someone is banned, doesn't matter whether it's Trump or anyone, on your social media, if you say certain things, you might be deleted.
Mhm.
We have now something in this country and on the books called hate speech. So now you may not even be free to say something without some kind of consequence. So again, I think we're talking about basic freedoms that we've enjoyed in this country for 250 years. And the fact that I believe, and I think a lot of people believe, again, doesn't matter what your political persuasion is, but freedom is based on having choices and having the luxury of being informed on a whole panacea of thought.
I'm sorry, dear, but you correct me
I
if I'm wrong.
wanted to ask something
I
about
know.
the book.
I'll let you have a couple.
Yeah.
We're going to get to. We're segueing into the book. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
So, Your Honor,
were
remember.
you prepared for all of this?
I'm
Did you-
prepared for anything. I had heard about
Thankfully.
this.
Oh, good.
I had
good.
heard
You
about this
heard.
show early on, so I
Remember,
came
dear,
prepared.
He's a federal judge. This is peanuts to him. Now, remember, Your Honor, you're under oath. The question I have for you is, no, I'm kidding. But my opinion is that when they pull somebody off the air or they cancel somebody because of this or that, it's because somebody else decided that the people are too stupid to figure it out for themselves, so they have to do it for you.
Well, I think the real perspective is they want to keep the public stupid. And again, freedom, I'll say it for the third time, freedom is dependent on an informed or the citizenry. And when the public can remain uninformed, the people in power then are able to have an easier way of operating whatever their agenda might be.
And I agree with that. I think it is, though, like you said, the internet is there. There's a lot. That's part of the issue is there is so much information out. So
Right.
when someone is not really, knowledgeable in a certain area and they go out to search information and there's just this plethora of information that then you have to decide, now, is this a reputable source?
Well,
I mean,
that's
it's a
That's
lot.
right.
It's not easy.
No one said it was easy, but the old saying is freedom isn't free. Nor is it easy. So I think the challenge for all of us is to, again, investigate, as many perspectives as you possibly can. And some of them may even challenge your own operating assumptions. And that's
The point.
enlightenment. And that's what we all want. We all want to be informed on a diverse group of opinions.
So the judge is here, folks. The name of the book is Prior Restraint, and you can get it at Amazon. I downloaded it. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, and I'm sure it's sold locally. If you want to get a hardcover, it's everywhere, and it's a great book. I loved it, and obviously I love those books. I read James Patterson and Vince Flynn and authors like that. And it's based out of Washington, and it's based around. Let me just set the tone.
Are you gonna let him explain it?
And then I'll
Good
let you
Lord.
ask the question. And then I'm trying to do this like they do on a professional show, dear. Is, you set up the softball.
A professional one-sided show.
And it has to do with the media and the government and some corruption.
Yes, basically, the theme of this book is terrorism in the media, and the book starts off early with the nation's #1 TV evening news broadcaster brutally murdered on Pennsylvania Avenue in the streets of Washington, and it's just such a shock to the media establishment and the public at large. But before that wears off, within days, the nation's leading newspaper columnist in Manhattan is also brutally murdered, seemingly by Islamic fundamentalists. So now the media is in absolute hysteria, and they're scared to death to put anything on the air or publish anything for fear it will make them a target. And before we go further, let me just give a quick definition for your audience of the term prior restraint. It's a legal term that refers to any attempt to censor or prevent publication or broadcast of any questionable the material. It's also any action which creates a chilling effect on conduct or speech, where such is suppressed by the fear of being and then penalized by an individual or a group. And finally, it's the then censorship that's imposed by such fear. So when we talk about a prior restraint where information is suppressed, fear is oftentimes a major component to making that happen. So back to the storyline, after these two very prominent public media individuals are brutally murdered, a corrupt U.S. senator who heads up the Senate Homeland Security committee and has control over the investigation, uses his power to advance his own corrupt agenda. So sort of the second and underlying theme of the book is how power and greed operate in Washington. Mm-hmm. So I take the reader behind closed doors in the cloakroom off the Senate, and the senator's chambers with his chief of staff, where he lays out, and the dialogue is such where it's clear how things really work in order to get things done. And I guess finally the protagonist of the book is a young female reporter in Washington who's assigned the task of investigating the first murder, and she gets involved with an FBI agent in Manhattan who's investigating the crimes on behalf of the FBI. And they compare notes, and she's very intelligent and very perceptive. And she begins to see things that no one else sees. And pretty soon she gets too close to the truth. And now her life is in jeopardy. And you don't know till the last page or two of the book how it all comes together. But we introduced several very intriguing, characters and
interesting twist at the end, which I really liked. That was very cool. Now, dear, I'll forget questions.
Okay.
He said a lot that I want to make sure I don't forget. Now, as you're a judge in Washington, D.C., are you taking notes about what's going on, saying to yourself, when I retire, I'm writing a book?
No.
Okay. So this was completely after you retired.
Sure. This is all in my mind. It's my experience. Just like you had your experience in this business, you've come to have certain perspectives on how things work. It's the same thing.
He couldn't do it though because his memory is so bad. Okay. He wouldn't remember. But
so you need to have a legal pad around.
Yeah. How much truth is in what you've written?
Well, truth is in the eye of the beholder.
Not in lawyer speak, please. so people in our audience and myself can understand.
I think there's quite a bit of truth.
Very nice.
In the overall content. It's not to say Congress and individual politicians don't do good things for their home constituents, but politics is a power game. It's about power and money. And that's what drives the process in Washington, D.C. And everything else is, it's been described as a game of chess. You trade off moves to get something you want, and someone else will use that to get what they want. So it's, unfortunately, in my view, it's become a little too much that way. And I think, again, an informed citizenry might help prevent that.
So there's one other character in the book that I need to ask you about. I won't give away what happened to the person, but it was a radio host.
Yes.
Who did you, if anyone, base that person off of?
I would rather not say. Obviously.
So there was somebody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, a very prominent talk show host. So I'll let people draw their own conclusions. I don't want in any way to somehow impugn that individual's politics or anything else. So, but the reader can exercise their own judgment, and it could be different people to different
people.
readers.
Mhm. So now, how long have you been writing? Has this been an interest of yours?
Yes, this is my first book. Interesting enough, I just finished my second
That's what I
one. It
thought.
hasn't yet been edited. And I haven't even copyrighted it yet. But it's hopefully going to be on the market within the next short time. But to answer your question, I've only been writing on this one novel, but I've had an interest in writing all my life. And I was a history major, and so I was used to writing a lot of papers, and I always enjoyed it, and I knew I was pretty good at it.
Mhm.
So it's just something I didn't have time to do when I was in my career, but now that I'm retired, I find it much more timely to get out and spend the time it takes, and I'm enjoying it immensely.
Is the second book?
Wait a minute. So is it more interesting? I think I know the answer to this. For this or writing a legal brief?
What a silly question. You're getting no bells for that.
Well, fortunately for judges, they don't have to
They got people for that.
write legal briefs, but they have to read them, which might be even more boring.
So is the second book kind of like the same theme?
I can't say a lot about it yet. Again, it's not copyrighted, but it is another political thriller that
Nice.
In large part takes place in Washington. But I will say this. It's a storyline that I don't think has ever been done before.
Cool.
And it's somewhat of a dark story, but I'm real proud of it. And I think when it does come out and is published, people will find it to be a very intriguing read.
A rough idea when we might be able to see it?
Hopefully in the next month.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So go ahead, dear. You're
Well, I was just-
monopolizing my favorite
yeah.
interview here.
No,
But
I
go
was
ahead.
just, so I just wanted to ask you, what are some of your favorite classic cars? I know you're.
Well, my good friend is here in the audience today, and he's
Oh.
got a 58 Corvette convertible,
That's my favorite.
which is probably
It's out in the
my
audience. It's out in the parking lot. Oh, you're brave.
which is probably my all-time favorite. I've
Oh.
got a 2004 Corvette convertible right now, but it's funny you asked that. I go to breakfast every Wednesday with a group of guys. They're all car nuts. I mean, really car nuts, and so that's about all we talk about when we're at breakfast.
I think I could. I think I could.
I had the pleasure of having a 1998 Corvette for a little while, and that they are so much fun.
They are.
They can get you in a lot of trouble, though.
I think I can hang with you guys, Your Honor. I just bought a 2003 Hummer with 140,000 miles on
Now
it. Would I
that's a
qualify
vehicle.
for that
Well,
group?
absolutely. I think you could come to lunch with us.
Nice, very nice.
He
So,
can't fix it, but he could.
how long did it take you to actually sit down? And it's a 320 pager, I think. And how long did it take you to really focus on it and write it?
Well, that's when I first wrote it. I say not having done this before, and you've got a lot of research, probably about 4 months. But then I put it on the shelf for a while, and I'd come back and I'd bring it a little more up to date and edit it. But the second one that I just finished, I got it done in 3 months, which is record time, and I still have to do some final editing, but I would say, generally speaking, it's going to take 4 or 5 months.
You got the second one done in 3 months. Did you sleep at all?
No.
Okay, you couldn't have. That seems
Well, but-
remarkable.
But it's just, I was so absorbed into it that I would work 8 or 10 hours a day on it. And then I'd come to a good stopping point, and I'd think maybe for a day or so, how do I want to proceed?
Mhm.
But the question that you haven't asked, if we have a minute, my favorite aspect of writing a book is to create the characters.
Yeah.
Because I think an author who can depict characters in a way that the reader can relate to, it transports them into their lives.
Yeah.
So I tried to create characters where you understood why they were the way they were. And even a few of the dishonorable individuals in prior restraint, when it's all said and done, you at least understood why they were dishonorable. And in some ways, you're transported from your everyday life into their life for that brief moment. And to me, that's the purpose of reading books.
And one other aspect of the book that we didn't mention, for anyone that likes the special ops angle, there is a special ops angle in the book. It's not hugely prominent,
Yes.
but there is a special ops angle in
There
the book,
is.
which is cool. So while we have you here and under oath as we do, just a couple of quick questions. Would you consider this, in your vast experience and knowledge of being a lawyer and a judge and all that, would you consider this a public space?
You mean where we're sitting?
Where we're sitting right now?
I don't know the zoning laws around here.
It's town owned. Is it a public square? Is it a public space?
I would say it appears to be a public square to me, yes.
Does it appear to you that we're exercising free speech?
You most certainly are.
Thank you. That's all. I rest my case, Your Honor. Thank you very much. Can you send this one to the jury, please? So how did you meet your lovely wife?
Well, my wife Doris was a special agent in Washington.
No
and
way.
It's funny you asked that because she's now acting as my.
Why didn't she come on the show too? Special agent woman.
Well, you didn't have enough time.
Wow.
We'll have to
For
bring
what? Is she allowed to say
on.
what organization she was?
Well, she was with the Inspector General's office for the Department of Health and I think Human Services. She
Oh,
carried
boy.
a Glock for
Nice.
15
She
years.
packing heat right now?
No, I don't know. I don't ask her that. But
There's one in the glove box, that's for sure,
but
dear.
she's acting as my, and then she retired and she went to IBM for 15 years.
Oh.
So she's acting as my agent now. And I had a presentation a couple of days ago, and I said, she's an agent now, but she's still special.
Not very nice. Do you trust her to be your agent?
Absolutely. She got me this interview.
I know.
How important is it for kids and teenagers to go to a courthouse or go to a courtroom and sit in the audience for a day and watch what goes on? It's still fascinating to me to go to Lee County Courthouse, watch the procedures, watch the people, maybe watch a jury trial, because then you get to really understand what happens. And not that you want somebody to be arrested or involved, but it's an amazing thing that happens.
Well, I think the more the public is informed on not only our justice system, but our system of government at large, the better able they are to make decisions on what should be happening and what should not be happening. So obviously, I would encourage high school classes to make a field trip to the county courthouse, and if only to sit in for a couple hours to understand the jury system, to understand the role of the judge, to understand the role of the defense attorney in, I think, defending, whomever is before the court. And so it's a very informative, and not just informative, but it's almost a basic lesson in patriotism.
Right.
Well, I know, and when you get called for jury duty, that is what the judge who's sitting there says. I know a lot of you don't want to be here. Don't get up here and say silly stuff to get out, because it is your duty
It's your
to.
patriotic duty.
Yes, and having been at the county one and the federal one, which is much different.
Yes.
That is a much different
that's right.
process. I would encourage everybody to take the opportunity when you get that call and go and do it.
Absolutely. And not only that, it's fun. I mean, it's a
It
great
is
experience
interesting.
to be a
Yeah.
jury.
You can't do that now, right? No.
No, well, I actually got called for jury duty a couple years ago, but they didn't go to trial. So, but I would have enjoyed it.
Do you believe the jury system is fair? What I don't like is that you have all these jury, what do you call them, consultants that try to manipulate who you can pick and the whole thing.
That's
and it really seems to get away from what the whole thing was set up to be.
Well, I think by and large, the jury system is fair. We can always be cited to examples where maybe there was some bias on behalf of individual jurors, but usually I think a jury somehow comes to a good result in most cases.
Do you think OJ did it? You don't have to answer that. We thank you so much for coming on. Will you come back after the next book is
I
out,
would
or
be happy to.
Yes.
or maybe we could just do the show from your car, or
Well,
drive
that'd be-
around and like
Next time, though,
like
you
I'll
know,
borrow my friend's car, and
Yeah.
we can do it.
and
from
maybe
his-
your wife will come on next time, and we can talk about all the people she shot with her Glock and
Well,
things
that's
like that.
and you'll have to bring Henry.
Oh, and you know about Henry?
I
Great.
do.
What
I've
is
done
Henry, a
little-
dog or something?
He's our
Yes.
golden retriever. So
Yes.
yeah,
She
Oh,
does.
that's great.
She does the background
She
checks.
really does.
I read the books. She does the background checks.
She got me scared now.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you
name of,
so much.
The name of the book is Prior Restraint, and it's Steve McGuire. Get on Amazon right now and buy the book and download it, or get the hard copy wherever you shop for your books. Do people even shop at Barnes & Noble anymore? Who knows? But
I'm sure they
I'm
do.
sure the book
but
is there.
If they don't now, they have reason to.
Right. Get a cup of coffee and read the book. It's an awesome book, and we appreciate you coming on
Thank you,
so much.
Dad.
Thank you for
Thank you
coming
so
on.
much.
A big round of applause from our artificial audience. The name of the book is Prior Restraint, people, and it was really an awesome book. So we thank Stephen for coming on, and his wife for taking a bookload of pictures that we hopefully will get a bunch. Thank you so much, former federal judge from Washington D.C. And we really appreciate the time you spent with us, 30 minutes. All right, folks. Before we get to our final two guests of the day, we also have movie trivia coming up at the end of the show. 2 tickets to give away to the Beach Theater. We have a great question to ask everybody. So stay tuned for that. So we'll do the beach trivia, and then we'll tell you about what's going on here on the beach, and stay tuned for that. But of course, you got to get your bug spray because it's getting hot out here. I don't know if you can see through my shirt yet, but it's getting a little bit hot out here. The things I'll do out in the sun to prove a point for free speech and due to my wife with sunburn on her face. Good morning. Don'tItchIt.com or Island Oils LLC. It's an amazing smelling bug spray. We need you to go online right now, order it. It's made locally. It's made with fresh ingredients and 100% essential oils, DEET free, no water added, no chemicals, no synthetics. It smells amazing. And you can also buy it locally at Bait and Weight, Snook, Hut Bait and Tackle, for goodness sake. And of course, the Lighthouse, which is that's number 4, was over there. Yeah, the Lighthouse, which is right across the street. So get on out there, and you're good, dear. Very good. She's a lovely camera woman too. So get out there and get your Don't Itch It bug spray and take care of the bugs so they're not flying up your nose or any of your crevices as you enjoy this lovely summer weather. So segment number 3, as we just keep merrily moving along without a hitch yet today.
Oh, no, there's been hitches.
Oh, there have?
Yeah.
I don't know. Has anyone snapped our pictures today? I didn't see. I saw the blue suit, but I didn't see anybody snap the pictures. All right. The brand new owners of the Hammerhead Gym are here, and I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself as I get myself untangled from all the paperwork, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So my name is Bob Closson. And,
Nice and close, Bob.
Oh, yep.
There we go.
All right, Bob Closson. And my wife Shannon and I and our co-partners bought Hammerhead Gym.
Very nice. And where are you guys from? You're not from
Well,
town,
let her
right?
introduce
Oh,
herself.
sorry.
I'm Sarah McCormick. My husband Armand actually just left this morning. He had to go. We're from Iowa, so he had to drive back home.
So are you
Drive back home?
Yeah.
Whoa.
are you all from Iowa?
We're all from Iowa. Yes.
So Iowa, Fort Myers Beach,
How did that
little
happen?
far apart.
Yeah. So 25 years ago, my father-in-law and mother-in-law brought us down here for vacation, and originally started off in Sanibel, and then decided to check out Fort Myers Beach and brought us here. Eventually bought property. They brought property down here, and in 2016 we bought a condo down here, and then just recently, 2018 we bought a house. And so now we have a house on Fort Myers Beach.
Oh, so you live right here on the beach.
Yes.
Very cool. And what got you interested in? Obviously, you're both fit. What got you interested in eyeing the fitness center?
So I've been going there for, I think, about 24 years. I think I have my original 3 out of 5 day pass or whatever we had
Wow.
that I bought from Tiffany, which is the original owner, and just been going there ever since.
And
So-
Tiffany, like you said, she's owned it. Her and her husband before that have owned it
Correct.
for since it opened. I imagine it's
was
over in the
25 years, I think.
Yeah.
the 7-Eleven, next to the 7-Eleven, about I would say a mile and a half down from
Correct.
us.
Yes.
And so how did you get down here?
So we're friends from home, and
Okay,
we came
okay.
to visit with Bob and Shannon probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, and we loved it. And we actually just bought our first house here in November.
Before things got too crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So having owned a fitness center once in our lives in
Mhm.
Gateway, we weren't able to buy a house on Fort Myers Beach as a result of the fitness center. So obviously
Correct.
something else went successfully right in your life to be able to come down and buy a house.
So we actually own gyms in Iowa. That's what we do.
Aha.
That's what we've always done. We both went to school. We have exercise science degrees. My husband has a master's degree. When we finished school, we got married right away. Neither of us had jobs. We're like, he was personal training already. He wanted to open a gym. So we started actually in our basement in a house that we rented in Cedar Falls.
Very cool.
And then we just kind of grew from there. Now this is actually our 12th facility that we have opened or moved into. Our home gym, our first gym in Cedar Falls, Iowa, is a CrossFit gym. 12,000 square foot facility.
Holy moly.
We train a lot of
That's
high
big.
school
That
athletes.
is big.
So yeah, it's what we do.
Okay. And
We love
same thing. You're
For me, my wife and I, we own a company in Cedar Falls called Casting Cleaning, and we grind castings for John Deere Foundry. So,
aha.
yeah. So we've been doing that for 25 years as well. She's been at it a little bit longer than that. Bought it from our mother and father-in-law in 2008, and it's done well. It's done
Do
very
you
well.
plan to keep that, or
And we'll
you,
still keep that going. We've got two boys, 21 and 18, that
What?
they want to play in the game as well. So
21 and 18?
Yeah.
I would never have guessed that.
well, thank you.
You don't look like I do. I mean, so it looked
But
like
you-
you. There's
and
no
you do.
way. Yeah. So very
thanks.
cool. Are they down here with you, or they're up there
So
running
our
the show?
oldest just went back about 4 days ago or so, and the youngest hasn't been back down here for a couple months, but he'll make his way down.
So
We spend
what?
a lot of time down here.
Yeah. I mean, how can you not?
Right, right.
We apologize. It was her idea to sit out in the sun.
that's fine.
No, we need to get the
Making you
umbrella.
guys sweat like
No,
this.
that's
so
good. We're
yeah.
used
We
to
like
it.
to
yeah.
Yeah.
So did you have to pry the place away from Tiffany because or was she ready to?
So obviously COVID helped push that a little bit.
Yeah.
So we started on this, was it last October?
Yeah.
No, it's probably before that.
Well, the October before COVID. Yeah.
One of the things you learn
Sorry.
when you're down here in Times Square is the ATM machine does not just
We should've
let money
told
out
you.
Just
slowly.
Sorry.
money out.
And so it's like a show. We
Right.
wait to see how far the money will fly
mean,
out on a windy day.
Really, they need to put a
There's a
camera
guy
up
behind there that's
Right.
shoving
Yeah,
the money
yeah,
out. And
because
He's got a fan.
on
Yeah.
a windy day,
at least it
we'll
works,
see
right? At
people
least money comes
scrambling.
out. He just got charged $90
Right.
to pull out his $20 because that's how convenient it is. But anyway, you guys missed that on the Facebook there, but that's one of the funny things everybody at the tables watches for.
we
Let's see how
kind of
far it
just wait
flies out.
for it to happen.
So anyway, sorry to interrupt, but so you were saying the COVID helped with the situation
so,
at every gym, really.
For about 10 years, I guess, and started off kind of jokingly because I love the gym so much that I would ask Tiffany if she'd ever want to sell it. Would she sell it to me? And she, no, she's not ready. And then COVID hits, and we're in conversations about it just before that. And before we could close, it hit and shut her down. And so that really pushed things along with how vulnerable the business is and the gym is for being shut down. And it's, it's not her only livelihood, I don't believe, but it is a large portion of her livelihood. So
She did such a great job there. I mean, people
Mhm.
loved her, and she's the
fantastic.
kind of owner you need to be to own a small fitness place
Absolutely.
like that. You got to be there all the time, or you have to have people that you trust in the morning to open for you so that you can come in a couple hours late. And she was all of that.
Yep.
And she had some great plans, like flexibility within the gym to meet the unique needs of a beach gym. Now, do you guys plan on continuing some of those things? What is your plan?
Yeah. So when my husband and I first came here, we love to work out on vacation. It's nice to
Right.
go work out and not be in charge. Right. So we first went in there and we're like, this place is awesome. And our biggest thing when we travel and we go on vacation is finding a gym that's super accessible. We can kind of go do what we want. And we're like, this would be the perfect place for a 24-hour facility.
And it wasn't 24 hours at the time.
it was not.
No. So we've made that transition. There's some really cool technology that works with our membership software that allows people that access. But also, like you said, as gym owners, like I understand the need for like having that contact and the
People want to see you.
Yep. So that's one thing, like we've built online programs at our home gym, and that's something that I want to make available here. Like I do nutrition at home. We have an online nutrition program. We have online fitness programs. Like he said, we'll be here all the time.
Yeah.
Even though we don't necessarily live here and we won't be there every day. Like,
Did you see a bump in membership when you went to 24 hours? Because that makes it so convenient for anybody. And people do go work out at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
yes, it's
Well,
crazy.
It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
because I've come down here. I mean, obviously 25 years. So I've seen all the months, and just within the last 2 years of how slow June, July, August, September can be. So for us now, it's super exciting, obviously, to own a business that people are at. I mean, there had to be days where there would only be a couple people that would ever come in. The accessibility to the gym now with 24 hours, everything is positive about people, wait staff. We went in there the other day, came across the street from the Junkanoo, had some drinks over there, kind of celebrated with the 4 of us, and walked across the street. Obviously, we leave all our lights on, everything's ready to go, and there was 3 or 4 waiters and waitresses in there. We went in, said thank you for coming to the gym, and they said thank you guys for being open, because otherwise we have to get up. We get off work and we either go to the gym or not go to the gym, but we either go to bars and drink.
That's what I was going to
party,
say. Right.
or we go home.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to hear that story from them that
To give it, given a healthy option.
The ability to make a choice to say, all right, I'm not going to go out tonight. I'm going to the gym. It's open.
Right.
And one of the challenges in the fitness industry is trying to stay up with the equipment because it's constantly changing and getting better and newer, and people need to have all the newfangled iPads and whatever screens. And I'm guessing you brought in some new equipment and there was some investment there as well.
There was. We made a little transition. I know people love the machines, so we kept most of them.
Right.
Rearranged a little bit, laid some new floor. We did put up a 24-foot rig, so we have some pull-up bars and some more squat and bench space. But right now, that we brought in a little bit more. Yeah.
Got a couple of assault bikes in there. So as that equipment, as the ellipticals and the treadmills go down, that's when we'll make the upgrades, not the initial. Right off the bat, we kind of thought that was, if it's working, let it work. And there's an awful lot of people that are dedicated to a piece of equipment that almost calls it as if it's their own.
Yeah.
So
they get in a routine and they stick with it because if they feel it's working for them, why change?
Right.
And so what are the price points and all that? If people want to come down, what are the specials that you have for anybody new that knows you're now? I don't even know. Did they close at 9 or 11 before you went 24? So
she was closed at 5 every day. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, it was only open from 9 to 1.
Oh, 5. Wow. That's really early because that's
so
an after work crowd that really
correct.
you're missing out on. But
so
right now we have 1 day, 1 week, 1 month memberships. The daily pass is $15. The 1 week is $50. And then the 1 month we do have local member pricing. So people from Fort Myers Beach get a $45 a month rate. And then anyone that would come on vacation and that would want a month long pass is $75.
Yeah, take all their money because it's totally convenient to them. That's for sure. And they have the money or they wouldn't be coming here.
I mean, we say the same thing when we go out and you go buy drinks. If all 4 of us go and buy some drinks right now, you're going to spend more than that than what a membership would cost to be there
for a month,
whenever you want for a month.
Yeah.
Right.
So it really, truly is.
And
If you're dedicated to fitness and you want to do that, even when you're on vacation, we always go. So
yeah, I mean, if you're on vacation and you're eating and you're drinking, you might want to go
beforehand. Always
offset
beforehand.
that. I mean,
it justifies it a little bit.
I mean, then it's like,
now,
let's go.
Have you guys joined the chamber yet? Because if you haven't joined the chamber yet, there's huge advantage to joining the Chamber of Commerce. You'll meet a ton of people. They have after hours businesses or after hours business after hours and lunches, and it would be great to have one at the gym to have people come down there. And I mean, and Jackie at the chamber is great. She's a wonderful person. She's helped us meet a ton of people and helped with the show. Being a chamber member is worth, I think it's $300 a year, and it's worth every single penny. You get it back quickly. So
I actually just I got an email yesterday from, is it Sherry?
Yeah.
So I need to follow up
they're
with
great. And so have you met a bunch of new people down here, or what? So how do you like it? And
we have. I mean, every day that we go in there, if it's not even just for our own workout, it's just to go fix something or finish something or whatever. So we're constantly meeting new people, which is exciting for this time of year. Like I said, right now, you assume that it's going to be dead, and then we'll have 6 people come in a 30-minute period to come in and work out. And half of them we know, that live locally, and the other half are people that are just visiting.
Right. The 4th of July, too, is going to be huge down here, especially here in Times Square. I know we're doing a special show down here at the 4th of July, and there's just going to be a ton of people down here. And if you guys have giveaways that we could help give away or anything that we can help out with, for sure. And, one of the things that we didn't really talk about was the nutrition part. And maybe you can touch on how that's really 90% of, you can go to the gym all you want, but if you're not going to eat right, you're going to drink beer every day, you're going to be fat.
That's right.
And so why don't you help people out with that?
So nutrition is, I have found, and so this is my 12th year in the business. And for a long time, I didn't talk about nutrition because it's so hard and it's so different for everybody, and it's emotional, and it's just hard to navigate. So about 3 years ago, I started a nutrition program at our gym. I wrote it myself, and it's really just about finding balance and learning how you can eat that fits your lifestyle, but also getting what your body needs. So we start typically with food tracking, counting macros, just because most people don't know what they're eating from day to day and what they need. So it's a 12-week program. Over the course of the 12 weeks, they really learn what their body needs and how to fuel themselves. And then just find that balance. So they're not always feeling like they're restricting or always trying to lose weight. Like, if you eat the right things and you do the right things day to day, your body it'll respond.
One of the things, take the vacation part out of it, or when you're supposed to be having fun or eating and drinking, but the things that I try and tell, or we used to try and tell people, was you go ahead and write down what you're eating. They say, I eat right. And you say, go ahead and write down what you're eating for 3 days. And let me show you how many calories that is. If you think you're eating right, I mean, and then changing from there is a whole different story, because if you don't get into a lifestyle where you're doing it every day, it's tough.
Exactly.
But it really is interesting to watch people write it down.
Well,
okay,
so you also have to find that balance. Like, you keep a super restrictive diet. Me, not so much. I mean, because
I think I'm going to just eat chips tonight, is what you said last night.
And yesterday I had a red velvet cupcake and it was delicious, but I had one. I didn't have 6, and then I ran this morning.
All right,
I'm old.
enough bragging about
like you said, it's finding the balance. Because I think that's the thing. People are like, you don't.
How do you maintain
It's not
it?
fun, and you need to make it fun and enjoyable and educational so that it will be something that people do for their lifetime.
Right.
Exactly. And that's what I think the food tracking can help with. It can help you figure out, like, okay, that's pretty bad for me. Is it worth it? And can I counteract that somewhere else in my day? Make some transitions and
make some
it work.
substitutions and how to make things. A lot of times people don't realize, hey, this would taste the same, just put this in, and you're gonna save a little there, and you're gonna save a little there, and improve your health in so many ways.
Jeffrey says he loves the new equipment, so whatever new equipment you have in there, he loves it. So.
Great.
Thank you.
More to come.
Yeah. What was I gonna say?
You need more ginkgo or whatever it is from memory.
You forget a lot of things.
Carrots?
So,
I don't know.
What was cool was there was a couple of folks that come down and see us every Saturday, and they left a few weeks ago that go to the gym religiously. And they had heard that Tiffany was selling and that you guys were coming down, and they're a little older, and but they love the gym. One of the things that's, I think, tough for the older generation, maybe you guys could talk about this, especially down here, is not to be intimidated when they go in. And you should come in at any age, because it will help you live longer.
Absolutely.
And so how is it not an intimidating atmosphere where people are going to go in and worry about, too many mirrors or people grunting in the corner? One of the things that the first things that we put up in our gym was there's no throwing the weights or no grunting. Correct. And occasionally you have to kick some jackass out because they scare away the other. You want people in there feeling comfortable.
We've had a little bit of an experience with that already with a couple people, and I think we nipped it in the butt really quick. So hopefully they understand that they're not the only ones in the gym. For the older people or the people that aren't comfortable working out with other people, I think that's the benefit of this 24 hours, is that if they do see a bunch of cars out front and they say, all right, maybe this is not my time right now.
Right.
But, or to be able to just walk in, again, with that kind of access, you can walk in there and decide, I don't want to be in here because I've got a bunch of people. We don't really have, we have free weights, obviously, with this rigging system, but it'll be controlled. And then we have a deadlift platform that'll be with bumper plates, so that you're not going to have the big clanging and banging around like a meathead gym.
Right.
But we've got a lot of that pin select stuff for the older people, and are people that are more comfortable with kind of hiding over off to the side. moving their weights around without loading plates onto machines. So,
when we first opened our gym, it felt like it was the last Ali Frazier fight. It was so long ago, but the nice thing about it back then was there wasn't a gym on every street corner, and the competition was 5-7 miles away.
Right.
And then it just exploded. And there's an LA Fitness, and there's Around the Clock, and Gold's Gym and World's Gym were still hanging on at the time. And then it was $19 a month or $9 a month. It's nice for you guys to be the only one on the beach, really.
Absolutely.
And but the fitness industry, maybe it's different where you guys are from. It's crazy. It's crazy competitive, and it's cutthroat, and it's about, unfortunately, when we were open, if somebody didn't come to the gym for a few months, I'd call them and say, hey, I'm going to cancel your membership. I'm going to give you the last month back because you're stupid. You're wasting your money.
Right.
Now the goal is to get as many people that don't come to sign up and steal their money.
Planet Fitness or
yeah. And so
same deal.
What's it like? How competitive is it now?
So I feel like we're kind of in a different market in the fitness industry, since we are a CrossFit gym and we have sports specific training and we do a ton of personal training. We're not your typical Planet Fitness or Gold's Gym or, Anytime Fitness or whatever. We're totally different. And it's really, truly about the community that you get when you come into the gym. And I think people used to join our gym for the coaching, which we have an amazing staff. Mm-hmm. We have 7 full-time salary staff back in Iowa. And people started for that, but then once they start, they come for each other, and it's amazing. And I want to see that here too.
Personal training is so much more about therapy than it is about anything else. People just want somebody to tell their personal stories to and their life stories.
I think Armin knows that quite well. Yeah.
We both.
Some things they shouldn't be telling either.
I literally had a woman, I won't mention her name, that would come, and I finally said to her, we actually really should, lift some weight. And she looked me dead in the face. She's a good friend of mine. She goes, I'm paying you. If I want to sit on the machine and talk,
Take it.
Like, all right, well, I just had to for ethical reasons, put
stop.
that out there.
Please.
And we do want personal trainers in here, and I am searching because I think that it's huge and it's important.
Well, that's
and
good to know. How do you
feel
want people to come in and talk to you about that? What do they need to have as far as experience? And
they need a certification, they need liability insurance, and I'll sit down and talk to anybody that's interested.
Not to make a little thing of it, but getting certified for personal training is not like getting a law degree. It's something that can be taught quickly or learned quickly.
Well, I think
but that doesn't mean you're going to be good at it right at the beginning.
There are a variety of certifications, and there are some that are above others.
I agree. And I have also learned, my husband and I talk about this often, no matter how prestigious your degree might be, that also it kind of works the other way too, right? Like, that doesn't mean you're the best trainer. I would love to see some people in action. And
gotta have some personality too.
Yeah.
And it doesn't ever hurt to look the part. I mean, people want to be trained by people who look like they're doing the work.
Yes, absolutely.
So, like a nutritionist.
Right. Did we miss anything? Is there anything else you want people to know about the gym? It's more a fitness center than a gym, but
absolutely. Yeah. It's just, please come. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't know that the gym is there. So we have business cards that we've made out, or Sarah's made out, that we're going to go and hit all the resorts. We'll hit the bars, restaurants, everybody. And it's so easy to be able to take the card, be able to scan. If you want to explain
you just purchase your membership online. Since we don't have staff, it's not like you can walk in and pay for it there. You just do it online. You get an email that tells you exactly how to access that door. It's super easy. But my website, my email address and my phone number are right on the website.
And she lost the coin flip, so her number's on the door.
I'm the nicest one.
The website is hammerheadgym.com, right?
Hammerheadgym.fmb.com.
fmb.com.
Yep.
Well, anything we can do to help, maybe we can go down and do some workouts too, dear, and see if we can lift any weight down there. So thank you guys for coming on. We hope to have you back in a few months or so and let us know how it's going. So, all right, folks, visit Hammerhead Gym. It's about 1.5 miles down the road, and brand new owners, 24 hours. And we appreciate Bob and Sarah coming in. Thanks a lot. Good luck and everything. And don't forget the Chamber of Commerce. Talk to Jackie, and maybe we'll get a finder's fee for that. So that would be cool. So we got a movie trivia coming up. Boy, everything seemed to go so smooth today, wife. You did a lovely job. Let me just switch the camera. We'll look straight into this one for the final segment of our award-winning program. Are we still under oath, by the way? Or oh, you know what? Hold on. Your mic isn't on. You got to go. Hit it. Hit it.
All right. And remember, folks, I'm here to talk to you about Fort Myers Tiki Tours. Go give them a call at 239-887-0042 and book your cruise. You're going to go down for a 90-minute cruise on this amazing tiki boat. Everyone's going to want to take your picture. It's so cute. You will have your own captain and a cooler. You bring your food and what you want to drink. It seats up to 6 people. They have music that you can bring in, and it's great for any kind of team building thing. You want it. Father's Day is coming up. We did it on Father's Day. It was great. Sightseeing, family fun. They have dolphin cruises. They have sunset cruises, bachelor parties. Give them a call, 239-887-0042, or visit them at FortMyersTikiTours.com.
All right. And earlier on in the program, I
How
did.
come you always have me speak to your the advertisements you read, but you don't speak to mine? Why don't you talk about what a great time you had?
Because I'm trying to catch my breast. I'm trying to catch my breast because I'm I'm carrying this show. That's why. I forgot to mention earlier in the program, because I wanted to get right into the super duper content. I always like to thank all of our sponsors because they've been with us through thick and thin. It seems like these folks have been with us from the very beginning, and without them, we're really just a ball of nothing. And that includes the folks that we read: Island Oils, Fort Myers Tiki Tours, Nervous Nellies, Mangaritas, State Insurance USA, Sun Palace Vacation, La Ola Restaurant, Tuckaway Cafe, Blue Ribbon Events, Beach Pottery, Sunset Beach Tropical Grill, and Shuckers. And of course, our favorite and biggest sponsor behind us, Pete's Time Out. Did the umbrella help at all? I broke the umbrella before the show started, but I bought you an umbrella. I have a fan hooked up to the, I don't even know if you noticed that.
I see that the fan is angled
I can't even see where the sun is. All right. Hold on. You got to hold it so I can read the trivia question. All right, everybody. I know you've been hanging on to this
You
for
dropped
the
things right there.
Oh, we have those extra prizes too. In addition to the 2 tickets, I went digging through the pile of stuff we have at home. We also have 2 gift certificates. One is to the Tuckaway Cafe, and the other one is to somewhere else. It's on the floor, and I can't see where it's from. But you're going to get 2. I need to read the question. Are you okay holding that?
Yes,
All
hurry
right.
up, though.
So the question for 2 tickets to the Beach Theater is, this week the Beach Theater is screening the blockbuster hit Cruella. I've heard a lot about Cruella. Have you? You're getting rushy with me now, and it's really starting to perturb me. Emma Stone and Emma Thompson. In the original cartoon film, 101 Dalmatians, what were the names of the parent Dalmatian dogs? The first person to type in the answer on the Facebook gets the 2 tickets to the Beach Theater for a movie, and also 2 gift certificates to 2 fabulous local establishments.
I peeked at the answer, but I would not have remembered that.
Let's see if anyone knows it. If not, give it a Google like you did last week. One more time, I'll read it. Then we'll mention to everybody what's going on with our situation. Good morning. Have a great day. Thank you for coming to Pete's. All right. This week, the Beach Theater is screening the blockbuster hit Cruella, starring Emma Stone and Emma Thompson. Are they related? Emma Stone and Emma Thompson.
So. Just
in the original cartoon film, 101 Dalmatians, that's about dogs, dear. What were the names of the parent Dalmatian dogs? The first person to type in the answer wins all the prizes. And finally, today, it really was a super show. Thanks to all of our guests. We did want to let you all know that we did get the violation. And today, although I didn't see anyone taking pictures, we did see Nella walk by. I don't know if he took pictures or not, but if he did, our expectation is that we will get an official violation sent in the mail this week, and then we'll actually know what we're violating, and then we'll play the tape back from the judge, who is a federal judge. I mean, he overrules everything when he says this is the public space and we're exercising our free speech. I'll just play that tape in a loop. Lucky and Rolly is not right. Try again. It's 2 P's. Like 2 peas in a pod. It's 2 P's. The names are 2 P's. And we have also retained an attorney, a fabulous attorney in Naples, and she is giving us great advice last week. And so we expect that we're finally going to get our day in court. And so those of you that had said before that you'd be happy to help with a GoFundMe, well, we're going to reach back to you to let you know.
Need that.
So she was fabulous on the phone, and so here we are waiting to see what happens. So that's what's going on with all that. And we appreciate everybody again today. And Patch and Penny, you know what?
no.
That's close enough, Kathy. You are the winner.
Tough.
It's Perdita and Pongo. What did you have gotten that?
No, I said that
Perdito
earlier. You
and
weren't
Pongo.
listening to me.
All right, Kathy, you know what? That's close enough. You are the winner. Remember to reach out to me, and I'll get you the tickets and the prizes. And
Kathy
thank you all
Rydell.
for a lovely day. Come on down to Fort Myers Beach. Enjoy all the lovely restaurants. We will be back next Saturday, or we'll be in jail somewhere. Or you won't be in jail. I will be. I have to say one thing.
Okay.
There was a bicyclist early in the morning before we came on, and the sheriff's department tried to stop him. That's the
Really?
first time I ever saw that. So something changed in the last week where the sheriff's deputy is on the case.
Was he successful at
He
stopping
actually,
it?
the biker didn't hear him at first, and then he went all the way down. It was the Naples guys, and they were fine with it. They were unaware. They didn't see the sign. But so the sheriff's department is on the case, everybody. Things are turning around down here. That's for damn sure. The sheriff is on the case.
Safety first.
I asked him if he's also going to arrest us for being out here. He said
Safety
no.
first.
All right, everybody, have a great weekend. Enjoy the weather. It's a lovely day here on the beach. You all are fabulous. We love you. Bye-bye.